mud, dawn, and the wrong weapon. May 14th, 1945. Okinawa. 5:43 in the morning. Dawn does not arrive gently on Okinawa. It seeps in like an infection, gray and wet, revealing shapes that were mercifully hidden in the dark. Corporal Vance is crouched at the bottom of a foxhole that has collapsed into brown soup. Rainwater and clay swirl around his boots. The hole is no longer a defensive position. It is a grave waiting to be filled. Japanese artillery has been pounding this ridge for 6 straight hours. The sound is no longer something he hears. It is something he feels. Each shell landing sends a shock through the ground, through his knees, into his chest. His teeth chatter, not from cold, but from vibration. The trench walls bulge inward with every impact, squeezing tighter, as if the island itself is trying to crush him. Vance is 22 years old. In the dim light, with mud caked into the lines of his face and his eyes hollow from 3 days without sleep, he looks twice that. His helmet sits low. His uniform is stiff with dried filth. He smells like wet earth and cordite. 30 yards in front of him is a patch of tall kite grass. It is perfectly still. That is what terrifies him. He knows the enemy is in there. Japanese infantry always wait for the guns to lift. Artillery first. Silence next. Then the charge. The problem is not the artillery. The problem is what happens after it stops. Vance looks down at the weapon in his hands. An M1 Garand. Standard issue. Walnut stock slick with rain and oil. Nearly 10 pounds of steel and wood. 43 inches long. On paper, it is the finest battle rifle ever issued. Semi-automatic. Accurate. Powerful. The generals love it. The officers love it. Down here, in a hole the size of a coffin, Vance hates it. He has watched men die all week because of rifles like this. Too long. Too slow. Too precise. In the tunnels and trenches of Okinawa, the distance between life and death is measured in feet, sometimes inches. When a Japanese soldier drops into your hole with a knife, you do not have time to shoulder a rifle and line up sights. Swinging a Garand in a narrow trench is like trying to swing a baseball bat in a phone booth. By the time you get the barrel around, the fight is over and you are bleeding out in the mud. Vance tightens his grip until his knuckles go white. The action is gritty. Scent has worked its way into everything. He knows the rifle will fail him when it matters most. He knows what he should be holding instead. 6 months earlier, back in the Russell Islands, the mood had been different. The sun had been bright. The ocean blue. The battalion was refitting for the invasion, uncrating new gear fresh from American factories. Men wiped grease off machine guns and argued over flamethrowers. That was when Vance walked up to the supply table and handed over a requisition form. He did not ask for a new rifle. He did not ask for a submachine gun. He asked for a Winchester Model 12 pump-action shotgun. The supply sergeant laughed so hard he dropped his clipboard. A lieutenant wandered over, picked up the shotgun by the barrel, peered down the wide bore, and smirked. He asked Vance if he planned on hunting ducks. He called it a farmer's toy, a bird gun. The men laughed, the kind of laughter meant to remind you that you are different, that you do not belong. Vance said nothing. He took the shotgun back and began cleaning it, hands moving with quiet confidence. He knew what they did not. He knew the Model 12 held 6 shells in the tube and 1 in the chamber. He knew each shell carried 9 pellets of double-aught buckshot, 9 .32 caliber balls per trigger pull. He knew it could fire as fast as a man could work the slide. The mockery followed him onto the transport ships. Men called him the farmer. They made duck noises when he walked by. Even his own squad leader told him to ditch it. Shotgun ammo was heavy. Range was short. In a real fight, they said, he would be useless. Vance listened. He understood. In a clean war, fought at distance, they were right. But Okinawa was not a clean war. Now, back in the foxhole, the artillery finally lifts. The sudden silence presses down harder than the noise ever did. Then a high-pitched whistle slices through the air. Not American. Japanese. The kite grass comes alive. Men rise out of the earth, mud dripping from their uniforms. Bayonets fixed. Faces hard. They do not shout at first. They just run. Vance does not hesitate. He lets the Garand fall into the mud. He reaches into the dry recess of the trench and pulls out the Winchester Model 12. The oilcloth slides away. The steel is dark and cold. He racks the slide. Clack, clack. The sound cuts through the chaos like a promise. The man next to him, a kid named Miller who spent weeks mocking the bird gun, fumbles his rifle clip with shaking hands. He looks at the oncoming charge. Then he looks at Vance. Vance steps up to the lip of the trench and brings the shotgun up under his arm, barrel leveled at the center of the storm. The enemy is 15 yards away. Close enough to see faces. Close enough for the theories to end. When the toy became a weapon, the first Japanese runner breaks from the mass at 15 yards. Close enough that Vance can see the man's gold teeth when he opens his mouth to scream. Close enough that the stitching on the collar of his uniform is visible through the rain. This is no longer a battle fought on maps or in manuals. This is a collision. Vance tightens his grip. He does not shoulder the shotgun like a rifle. He clamps the stock under his armpit, locking it against his ribs, turning his body into a brace. He exhales once. Then he pulls the trigger. The Winchester Model 12 does not crack like a rifle. It detonates. The blast is a cannon fired inside a closet. A sheet of orange flame erupts from the muzzle, momentarily lighting the rain. 9 pellets of double-aught buckshot tear forward as a single force. The lead runner ceases to exist as a functioning human being. The buckshot hits his chest and lifts him off his feet. He is thrown backward, not falling but hurled, as if he struck an invisible wall. Red mist and shredded khaki hang in the air where he had been a fraction of a second earlier. Vance does not watch him fall. He is already pumping the slide. Clack, clack. The second shot slams into a sergeant waving a sword. The blade snaps sideways as the man folds in half. Pump. Boom. The third runner spins, legs gone. Pump. Boom. The fourth drops mid-stride. Vance holds the trigger down. The Winchester has no disconnector. As long as his finger stays tight and his arm keeps moving, the gun fires the instant the bolt locks forward. It is not a shotgun anymore. It is a hand-cranked engine. Clack, clack, boom. Clack, clack, boom. Clack, clack, boom. In less than 4 seconds, the magazine is empty. 6 shells. 54 pellets. A wall of lead 12 feet wide and chest high. The front rank of the charge does not break. It evaporates. The men behind them hesitate. They expected single shots. The ping of a Garand. A pause. A reload. They did not expect a buzzsaw. The empty gun clicks. Vance drops below the trench line without thinking. His hands move on instinct, muscle memory burned in during long nights at sea. He does not try to reload the tube. That takes too long. He grabs a single shell from his belt and drops it straight into the open port. Slams the slide forward. He pops back up. A Japanese soldier is at the rim of the trench, bayonet raised, eyes locked on Miller. Vance fires from the hip. The man disappears backward into the grass. Down again. Shell in. Rack. Up. Fire. Load 1. Shoot 1. It is ugly. Brutal. Efficient. Miller is frozen, staring at Vance like he is watching something inhuman. The mocking is gone. The jokes are gone. There is only survival. The charge collapses. The survivors dive for cover or melt back into the kite grass. The silence returns, but now it smells like burned powder and hot metal. The Winchester's barrel smokes in the rain. Heat shimmers above it. Vance's shoulder throbs. His ears ring. But he is alive. The trench line is intact. The lieutenant comes running down the line, pistol out, shouting orders. He skids to a stop near Vance's position and takes in the bodies piled 10 yards out. The shredded vegetation. The smoking shotgun. He opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. He nods once and moves on. The day is not over. As the sun drops, the rain returns harder. Darkness swallows the ridge. Visibility shrinks to nothing. This is when the Japanese fight best. They do not charge now. They crawl. They infiltrate. Knives. Grenades. Spider holes. Rifles are clumsy in the dark. Muzzle flashes blind. Long barrels snag on sandbags. Vance sits in a listening post, the Winchester across his lap. Fresh shells loaded. He hears it first. The wet suck of bodies moving through mud. The faint snip of wire being cut. The sergeant taps his shoulder and whispers for him to take point. Vance moves forward and waits. He lets them come closer. 10 yards. Maybe less. He racks the slide. Clack, clack. The sound freezes everything. He fires. The muzzle flash turns night into daylight for a heartbeat. 3 infiltrators tangled in wire, grenades in their hands. The middle one goes down. Darkness slams back. Vance pumps and fires again. Shifts right. Fires. Shifts left. Fires. 4 shots. 2 seconds. Then screaming. Then nothing. By morning, the men know. The bird gun is no joke. And when orders come to take Sugarloaf Hill, the captain does not hesitate. He points at Vance. He tells him to go first. Sugarloaf in the first trench. May 15th, 1945. Sugarloaf Hill. 0800 hours. Sugarloaf does not look like much from a distance. Just a low rise of mud and broken coral, squatting under a gray Okinawan sky. Intelligence reports call it lightly held. A speed bump on the way forward. The men who have been here longer know better. Sugarloaf anchors the entire Japanese defensive line. For concentric rings of trenches, communication tunnels, spider holes, concrete bunkers stitched together into a single living organism designed to bleed infantry white. The captain gathers the platoon leaders behind a fold in the ground. His face is gray with exhaustion. He points to a map already stained with rain and dirt. The plan is simple and terrible. Frontal assault. Fix bayonets. Close with the enemy. Then his eyes stop on Vance. He does not smile. He does not joke. He tells the squad leaders that when they hit the trench, nobody goes in before the shotgun. Vance checks his pockets. 40 rounds of buckshot. It sounds like a lot. It is not. He tops off the magazine, racks the slide, and steps to the front of the line. The bird gun leads the charge. The whistle blows. Men rise from the mud and start running. The ground between the American line and the first Japanese trench is 70 yards of churned earth. It is a perfect kill zone. Machine guns open up from both flanks, crossing their fire in an invisible X. Men go down almost immediately. Some fall. Some spin. Some simply stop moving. The advance dies in seconds. Marines dive into shell craters, pressing their faces into the mud. Corpsmen crawl forward and do not crawl back. The air is filled with the ripping sound of heavy machine guns and the snap of rounds striking dirt. Vance is in a crater 30 yards from the trench. Bullets hiss inches above his helmet. He watches a radio operator try to move and catch a round square in the head. The man drops without a sound. The Japanese defenders grow bold. They pop up along the parapet, throwing grenades down at the pinned Marines. They are laughing. They know what this looks like. They have won this exchange. If the Marines stay here, they will all die. Vance looks at the trench. The only safety is inside it. He does not shout. He does not wait for orders. He stands up. He runs. Not like a sprinter. Like a linebacker. Head down. Shotgun tucked tight. Dirt kicks up around his boots as rounds snap past him, but the gunners are focused on the mass of men still pinned down. They do not notice the single figure charging straight at them. Vance hits the lip of the trench and jumps. He lands feet first in 6 inches of water in the middle of 5 Japanese riflemen. For a fraction of a second, everyone freezes. No one expects an American to drop out of the sky into their position alone. Vance fires from the hip. Boom. The man to his left is blown backward into the log wall. Pump. Boom. The second soldier, halfway through raising his rifle, folds over. Vance spins. Boom. The third tries to stab, but the shot catches him mid-lunge. The confined space turns the blast into a physical punch. Clack, clack, boom. The fourth man falls. Clack, clack, boom. The fifth drops his weapon and tries to run. There is nowhere to go. The first trench is silent. Vance does not stop. He reloads on the move, shoving shells into the tube with bloody thumbs. He hears shouting from a communication tunnel ahead. Reinforcements are coming fast. The tunnel is narrow. Shoulder to shoulder. Bayonets first. It is the worst possible formation to face a shotgun. Vance steps to the corner and holds the trigger down. He works the slide like a piston. The slam fire turns the Winchester into a roaring engine. The tunnel amplifies everything. Buckshot ricochets off hard clay, shredding bodies and walls alike. The lead men are driven backward into the ones behind them. Bodies pile up. Screams echo and overlap until they become noise. Vance empties the gun. He reloads and moves. The second trench line is deeper, better built. A machine gun bunker here is raking the slope below, pinning the company. The crew never hears him. Their own gun is too loud. Vance walks up to the rear opening of the bunker and fires 3 shots inside. The machine gun stops instantly. Silence follows. Vance kicks the door open and confirms the kill. The interior is wrecked. Buckshot has bounced around the concrete like insects. As he steps back into the trench, movement erupts on both sides. A Japanese officer charges from the left, screaming. Spider holes open on the right. This is where a rifleman would die. Vance sweeps left and fires twice. The officer and his runner drop. He spins and fires again at the spider holes, blasting dirt and forcing heads down. The Winchester clicks dry. A soldier charges with a sword 10 feet away. Vance swings the shotgun like a club. The walnut stock cracks against the man's jaw. He goes down hard. Vance stomps his chest, jams a shell into the chamber, and fires. He reloads and keeps moving. Aggression is his shield now. He reaches the third trench. And here, the enemy is waiting. The trench broom. The third trench line is the main support position on Sugarloaf. This is where the Japanese reserves wait. 20 men at least. Maybe more. They are packed into the ditch, passing grenades, checking rifles, preparing to counterattack the moment the Americans break. They look up together. What they see is not a squad. They see one Marine. He is covered in mud and blood. Steam rises from his shoulders in the rain. In his hands is a smoking shotgun. For a heartbeat, no one moves. That pause kills them. Vance opens fire. At this range, inside a trench, the shotgun is not a weapon. It is a force. Buckshot tears through the group, ripping men off their feet, shredding sandbags, splintering timber. The noise is overwhelming. The blast slams against the walls and rebounds, turning each shot into a physical blow. The psychological effect is worse than the wounds. These men have heard it coming. The rhythmic boom-clack-boom has been moving closer for minutes. They know what it does. Panic spreads. Some try to fight. Vance shoots them. Some try to run. He shoots them in the back as they scramble out. He moves forward without slowing, pumping, firing, feeding shells into the tube whenever he has half a second. He is not aiming at individuals anymore. He is clearing space, filling the air with lead until nothing moves. The Winchester is scorching hot. Smoke curls off the barrel. The metal heat shield sizzles, burning the skin of his left hand. He does not feel it. He is past pain, past thought. He reaches the fourth trench. This is the command line at the crest of Sugarloaf. A dugout reinforced with logs and planks. Inside, officers are destroying maps and papers. They look up as the door flies open. Vance fires his last shells. Boom, boom, boom. The room goes still. The gun clicks empty. He pumps the slide. Nothing. He checks his belt. No shells left. He slumps against the trench wall, sliding down into the mud, lungs burning, hands shaking. The fight drains out of him all at once. He looks down the hill. The machine guns are silent. The grenades have stopped. Below, Marines are standing up. Then they are cheering. Then they are running uphill, no longer pinned, no longer dying in the mud. Vance stays where he is. The rain stops near noon. Sunlight breaks through the clouds and reveals the damage. The second wave reaches the summit expecting a fight. Instead, they walk into a graveyard. They move through the first trench, then the second, then the third. This does not look like a rifle fight. There are no neat holes, no tidy lines of impact. Sandbags are shredded. Wood is splintered. Bodies are torn apart. It looks like a natural disaster passed through. The Marines slow down. They stop joking. They stop talking. They look at the aftermath with a mix of horror and respect. Vance sits on a crate of captured mortar shells near the command dugout. The Winchester Model 12 lies across his knees. The fore end is cracked. The finish is scarred. The heat shield is warped. It looks ruined. To the men gathering around him, it looks legendary. The lieutenant climbs into the trench. He has lost a third of his platoon getting up the hill. He takes off his helmet and wipes his face. He looks at the cleared bunkers, the tunnel choked with bodies. Then he looks at Vance. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a pack of cigarettes. He offers one. Vance takes it. The lieutenant lights it for him. No words are exchanged. The lieutenant glances at the shotgun and asks quietly if Vance could find another one for the point man in second squad. This moment on Sugarloaf spreads. Word moves fast in the infantry. The shotgun is no longer a joke. It is no longer ungentlemanly. It is the trench broom. The Japanese know it too. In the First World War, Germany protested the use of shotguns, calling them too cruel for war. On Okinawa, the same fear takes hold. The shotgun does not kill cleanly. It erases. Vance does not think about doctrine or history. He smokes and stares at nothing. The adrenaline drains out of him, leaving his hands shaking. He looks at the Winchester and feels no pride, only distance. The gun saved his life. It also changed him. The war will end soon. But for Vance, something ended on Sugarloaf. The war ends, the echo remains. The battle for Okinawa does not end on Sugarloaf Hill. It grinds on for weeks, ridge by ridge, cave by cave. But for Corporal Vance, the war effectively stops there. His unit is pulled off the line for rest and refit. Fresh replacements arrive. Old faces are gone. Then come the bombs. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Then the words everyone has been waiting for and dreading at the same time. Surrender. The invasion of the Japanese mainland, the one every Marine knows would have been a slaughter, is canceled. The war ends not with another charge, but with paperwork. Vance turns in his gear. He boards a transport. The Pacific stretches out around him, calm and blue, indifferent to what just happened on its islands. He does not talk much on the ship. When other men joke about getting home, about steaks and cold beer, he listens without joining in. The sound stays with him. Clack, clack. He takes a train back to Nebraska. The countryside rolls past the window, green and orderly. Cornfields, farmhouses, fences standing straight. Nothing looks like Okinawa. Nothing smells like mud and burned powder. When he gets home, he puts his duffel bag in the attic. Medals stay in their boxes. He does not frame them. He does not tell stories at the bar. He takes the Winchester Model 12 out of its case. He strips it down piece by piece. Every spring, every screw. He cleans the grit out of the action. He wipes the carbon from the barrel. He coats the metal in grease and wraps it carefully in oilcloth. Then he puts it in a wooden box at the back of his closet. He never fires it again. Friends ask him to go hunting in the fall. Pheasants. Ducks. He makes excuses. Too busy. Bad back. Next year. The truth is simpler. He cannot stand the sound. The pump action no longer means autumn mornings and flushed birds. It means tunnels and screaming and the way the ground shook when he held the trigger down. It means the smell of cordite and wet earth and the moment he realized he was capable of things he never wanted to be capable of. Vance builds a quiet life. He marries a girl from the next town. He raises 3 children. He farms corn and soybeans. He serves on the school board. To his neighbors, he is just another man who did his part. They do not know about Sugarloaf. They do not know about the 4 trenches. They do not know that for one rainy morning in 1945, this gentle man was the most dangerous thing on the island of Okinawa. Vance grows old. His hands stiffen. His hair thins. The world changes around him. Wars come and go on television screens. New weapons replace old ones. The shotgun fades into history. Vance dies in 2004 at 81 years old. After the funeral, his grandson goes through the house, sorting through belongings. In the back of a closet, he finds a wooden box. Inside, wrapped in stiff oilcloth, is the Winchester Model 12. It is heavy, solid, scarred. The fore end is cracked. The metal is worn smooth in places. The grandson racks the slide. Clack, clack. The sound is clean. Perfect. He smiles. He thinks it is a cool old gun. He has no idea what he is holding. What remains unsaid? The grandson takes the shotgun to a local gunsmith. The old man turns it over in his hands, tracing the scars in the wood with a thumb. He does not smile. This one saw something, he says. The grandson laughs, thinking it is just a figure of speech. The gun is cleaned. The action is smooth despite its age. The gunsmith asks if he plans to hunt with it. The grandson shrugs. Maybe someday. The shotgun goes back into the box. Years later, The grandson finds a thin folder tucked inside the same crate. Yellowed paper. A discharge document. A single citation written in careful type. No flowery language. No numbers. Just a brief description of actions taken during the assault on Sugarloaf Hill. Single Marine. Multiple enemy trench lines cleared. Enemy machine gun position silenced. Advance enabled. The grandson reads it twice. Then a third time. He looks at the shotgun differently now. He starts asking questions. At the county records office. At the local veterans hall. Most of the men who were there are gone. One name comes up again and again in old meeting notes and faded newsletters. Vance. Always mentioned quietly. Never with exaggeration. Never with detail. He was solid. One note reads, "Did what had to be done." That is all. The grandson visits Sugarloaf Hill years later. It is green now, covered in grass and low trees. Tourists walk the paths. Birds nest where machine guns once stood. There are no markers for trenches. No signposts for bunkers. Just a gentle slope under a wide sky. He stands near the crest and listens. There is no sound of gunfire. No shouting. Only wind moving through leaves. He tries to imagine it. The mud. The rain. The noise. He cannot. No one who was not there ever really can. He thinks about the shotgun at home. Wrapped in oilcloth. Silent. Weapons rust. Wood rots. Memories fade. But actions remain. Sugarloaf fell that morning because one man did not stop moving when everyone else was pinned down. Because a tool meant for birds became the right answer in the worst possible place. Because fear was met head-on, at arm's length. History rarely remembers moments like that. There is no statue of Corporal Vance. No movie poster. No chapter in a textbook. Just a cleared hill. Just a quiet life afterward. Just a shotgun in a box. And the knowledge that sometimes, in war, survival comes down to a single decision made in the mud, under fire, when no one is watching. This was one of those moments.